Hello, thanks for tuning into another episode of this show we have not named yet. I know this is the Boudoir Guild channel. We've had recommendations of like the Mic Drop Show, which I thought was pretty crafty. But I'm curious to see what other names we can come up with for all these fantastic interview shows. So if you got them, drop them down in the comments for me. I'd love to be able to have a name for this thing soon. And today, I'm really excited to bring a new friend on the show. We had an amazing conversation the other day, and like anything in life, we got into talking business, and then it gets into like what makes us actually human. And that is going to be how our show is going to go today. So we're going to chat about Pinterest and all the amazing ways that you can use Pinterest to grow your own photography business without really having to do any of the work. And that is not a BuzzFeed clickbaity sales pitch. It's legit. And honestly, I wouldn't want to do it any other way because I don't have bandwidth for anything else in my life right now. And then we're going to talk about just building a network, a circle around you, a support system for business owners, because as we'll get into, no one else gets it if you're not in this. So Jena, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Of course. So, Jena Liat, you are a Pinterest. I hate when people say like ninja, guru, wizard, expert, because we're always learning everything. We've never maxed, and especially like on a social platform or anything technology related, it's always evolving. So someone who's an expert this month might be totally irrelevant next month. How do you like to call yourself, firstly, or do you even think about
Uh,
that?
I actually thought a lot about that, especially when I was first getting started, because I kind of started as a general virtual assistant. And then
Hmm.
when I fell in love with Pinterest, I was like, okay, so now I'm a Pinterest virtual assistant. And then I kind of felt like I outgrew that.
Yeah.
So shortly after, I kind of landed on Pinterest strategist.
Okay. I like it because it's timeless.
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. So I did a poll in my Facebook group of photographers yesterday, day before. I wanted to see what does everyone think of Pinterest? Like what do we use it for? What do we associate it with? And I wasn't surprised that none of the answers came in related to business. It was all recipes or mood boards for photo shoots, things like that, but nothing was actually generating dollars. So, can we actually book clients with Pinterest?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a great source of website traffic, and that's actually why I loved Pinterest is it sends people directly to your website. There's no, like I call it like a social media loop where you get on another platform and then you get distracted by messages and notifications, and it just distracts people from you and your business and what you have to offer.
Yeah.
Whereas Pinterest sends them directly to the home base of your business, your website, where they can learn all about you and hire you for your work.
Yeah. And Pinterest is different from other platforms. I even hesitate to call it a social platform because it's really not that social. Kind of like how YouTube, we have comments, we can interact, but it's not like Instagram or TikTok or Facebook where it's more about conversations. So, how can photographers reframe the way they look at Pinterest to start viewing it as a business tool?
So I have been using this subscription for Pinterest for a really long time. So I'm going to stick with this just to kind of give a really good understanding because it's not really a social media platform. It is definitely different. And so the way that I describe it would be if Instagram and Google had a baby, that would be Pinterest because you do have the visual side of things with the images. So when you search, it's pulling up those images. That's initially what's going to catch people's eyes, but it's extremely powerful in that it's not just kind of whatever that comes up, like with the people that you follow. It's search engine powered. And so you
Yeah.
get that search engine power of something like Google to be able to, show people that are looking for exactly what you have to offer in a piece of content and some helpful inspiration, anything like that. When people are looking for a solution to their problem or inspiration, they're searching and you can show up with that. So understanding that it's not a platform that you're going to have to go in and engage and connect with people and like follow people and hoard all the followers before the platform actually does much for you. It
Yeah.
is the search piece of that is for me, it's really refreshing because you can find things that you never really you weren't following that person. It's not just kind of feeding you
Hmm.
content. It's search based. And so that is part of what makes it so powerful is you can share things on there and then people can search and find it. What really gets it for me is because it is based on what they're searching for, you're not just kind of like shoving information in people's faces and hoping that it's what they need. It's showing up and serving them because they're actually looking for it and
Right.
you're providing that solution. So it starts with a really positive connection with potential clients anyway because of the way that it works.
Hmm. Definitely. Like that was one of the reasons I was willing to revisit it again after 6 years. And like I said, when I told my previous assistant that I was going to get back onto Pinterest, like the groan that came through was hilarious because I didn't have to live through what she did. But Pinterest is a lot different now than it used to be. It's not just like a factory of churning out content.
Mhm.
They're more about quality of the content, like you said, things that people are actually looking for. And we're driving them to the website, which maybe we get an email address or we book them onto a consult call from a button there. So it's just very straightforward and like blogging, right? There's an expectation of a passage of time. So let's say I start today on Pinterest versus making a blog or a YouTube channel. How long should somebody expect before they start to see website traffic?
It can be up to the 6 month mark before you really start see the traffic coming in. The way that I like to explain it is like Pinterest is building out the pathways to serve up your content. So
Yeah.
it's trying to figure out what your account is all about. And that's why making it really clear and making it super laser focused on your business. So, like people were saying, they use it personally. They don't need to go and create like one business board and then just like put some stuff up there and expect to get results because you're going to have your recipes and your mood boards and your outfits that you've put together, for us ladies with the hair and the makeup and all of the things that you use Pinterest for
Mhm.
personally. It's going to really muddy the waters for Pinterest trying to figure out what the heck is going on with your account. So, having a business account that is really laser focused just on the focus of your business is going
Yeah.
to make that process a lot faster because essentially your messaging is clearer and Pinterest can figure out what to do with you and your content.
Yep, exactly. It's just like when you start blogging or create a social media plot like Instagram. If you create a new account and you start posting dog photos and some of your photography, and then maybe you like gardening too, and your outfit of the day, then you're sending different messages that should be going to different audiences, but they're going to the same people, and it's going to be confusing. And because you're not going to get the engagement that the platform wants to see, it's going to keep changing who it sends the content to, trying to figure out who is the right person to receive this message. And there isn't a right person because there's too many different messages happening. So I
Exactly.
think that's awesome that the simpler we can keep it and the more focused that we can stay on our photography, how do we serve our clients, like that eliminates the need to come up with anything else, really, right?
Exactly.
Hmm. And we don't need to come up with brand new content for Instagram and for Pinterest and for our blog and have three different sets of content, right?
No, that is the best thing. So when I'm talking like to clients, when I'm doing the full services with them, it's great because they're already creating the blog content. Like that's a pretty big necessity with Pinterest because you need to have the content to put out there. But if you're using that to, make your social media post for that week, then you're taking that core piece of content being like your YouTube video or your blog and then using that on all the platforms that you're posting on. And
Yep.
so it's repurposing that content because it disappears really quickly on social media. I mean, it's
Yes.
minutes. I mean, it's gone. It gets buried underneath everything else. And yes, people can scroll back on your accounts and maybe find some older content. But with Pinterest, the shelf life of your content is a lot longer. So people
Hmm.
can go and search it, which links back to what I said before about, depending on where they are and what their needs are and what they're looking for, it may be that they need to read a blog post that you wrote 6 months ago. You're talking about something different on Instagram right now.
Yep.
And so it helps connect you with where they are with all of the content that you've put out, which is just such an amazing way to show up and connect with people and serve them well.
Yeah. So you can repurpose that same piece of content. You can do pins about the same blog
Mhm.
post every single month for a year and keep that content relevant, as opposed to like reposting the same Instagram message that, I mean, considering the reach we get, probably no one's going to see it twice anyway. But the same piece of content will live a lot longer, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Yes. And the nice thing is you can also take, if you're doing Reels or you're on TikTok, any of
Hmm.
those short form videos that are so popular, you can repurpose those into video pins. You can take, snippets of like this interview and you can turn those into idea pins, video
Yeah.
pins. So all of that video based content, you're not having to do it live like a lot of the other platforms want you to. So you can take what you've already made for these other platforms that are a little more demanding and hand that off easily to get the same reach because you get a lot of visibility with things like idea pins,
Yeah.
but you're not having to show up and do it like you do with the other platforms. You can just take everything that you're already doing and hand it off to the person managing your Pinterest account and make use of all of the content that you're creating.
Yeah. Which, beautiful transition to the next question I was going to ask you. We don't have to do this ourselves. Whereas I can't have a VA show up live for me because I have to be live. And the way that I communicate with my clients in general, I'm not taking sexy photos. I do boudoir as a form of therapy for my clients, and that messaging is very different. So I really have to train someone to understand all of the nuances of why we do what we do. And Pinterest is a lot easier to hand off that sort of work. How how do we even do that?
Yeah, so it is, oh my gosh, it's so easy because like with me when I'm working with clients and when I'm, training, I train women to be Pinterest virtual assistants as well. In the onboarding process is where we get all of our information. So, we work together pretty heavily in the beginning to make sure that, that solid foundation is set, that we have an understanding of your messaging and your business. And then after that, you don't really have to do much of anything because if you're creating the content, then the service provider can go to your website and pull your blog posts, create the pins, get everything sent out on Pinterest without really a whole lot from you
Yep.
because you're not having to show up. Just figuring out a good way that works for both of you to share things like videos is really probably the most heavy lifting that you have to do because it's just so easy. Because you're taking blog content, even getting the messaging right is super easy because we can pull from the blog post and make
Hmm.
sure that we're using your messaging and the way that you want things presented for your business because we're going to pull all of that from your content. And so it's going to
Yeah.
sound like you, it's going to, go with your branding and messaging very smoothly because of that.
I love the idea of not having to do anything else tactically like that. And that's one of the biggest mindset shifts of photographers. I, I believe it's why most of them don't succeed in business because we get into this because we want to take pictures. But you have to learn very quickly that we're no longer photographers, we're business owners who happen to take photos also. And that mindset shift is what's going to take you from I need to be the one in there doing all of the Pinterest work to I can easily find a VA who can learn how to do this to then just, I mean, is it like doubling your search potential compared to being on Google? Kind of. Um, just making it a whole lot easier for people to find you.
Yes. Yep, because when you are searching on Google, you will oftentimes get pins that will show up. And photography being hugely visual, you put them on a visual search engine platform, it's going to do really well.
Yeah. That is another added bonus to Pinterest. It's an open platform. Whereas if you are creating Instagram content or Facebook content and somebody Google searches that exact thing, it will not show up because Meta's content isn't searchable from Google. You have to search it within that platform. But Pinterest is different. Just like YouTube videos, if you typed in how to use Pinterest for business, hopefully this one popped up first in search and your Google page, but Pinterest will do the same thing. So you're getting the Pinterest search benefits plus the Google search benefits, making it that much easier for people to find you.
Yes.
So Pinterest is a global platform. I mean, we have people all over the world who are going to be sharing our photos to or repinning them to their own boards for inspiration and things like that. What is the likelihood we're actually going to get someone in our area who could want to book us?
So you can increase your chances with that. I did some really specific research with this that we would have some great information, but you can use your location specific keywords to help when people are searching, and that's going to help on the Google side of things as well, looking for local places. But in all of your pins that you put out, you want to make sure that you are focusing on using keywords that are going to key you into people in your area. So that's going to help a lot. You will have people that come over that are, from all over the world that may not ever book your services because they are, 2,000, 3,000 miles away.
Yep.
But if you look at, honestly, when you're creating this content anyway, if you get, 3 or 4 people that come over and then those convert to clients versus handing off the service that you're not having to put any more time into, then that's going to be worth it. And just having the location specific keywords helping you increase your Google ranking with that additional traffic and searchability through Pinterest is going to be worth repurposing your content.
Right. Yeah, very small investment for a potentially high reward.
Yes.
And I remember the first time somebody flew me across the country, because I'm in California, and I had someone fly me out to Philadelphia for a photo shoot. And I just remember thinking, like, how cool is it that someone reached out to me from Philadelphia, loved my work, but wanted to know if I knew of anybody nearby to them. I'm like, you could just fly my team out there. She's like, how much would that cost? I sent her a quote, and we flew out there like 3 weeks later and did the photo shoot. I felt so cool and established, and now I can say that I have clients who fly me around the country. And since then, actually, Philadelphia has been I've had a couple good shoots out there, strangely enough. But I've been to all the time zones, and I've had clients fly in from all over the place to work with me. So I think getting out of our head and thinking that we are only trying to attract people in our immediate area is also another roadblock. If you provide a valuable service, people will absolutely make a point to go see you. You can be a destination business.
That's very true.
And we charge enough, at least we should be charging enough photographers, that we could absolutely be the destination business. It's not like they're popping into a grocery store 2,000 miles away that has a different flavor of donut. I don't know. Yeah. We are a reason that people would travel or that people would fly us. So I've got to go on some cool vacations because, we'll go out to do the photo shoot and then stay for a few extra days and see some places that I wasn't planning to go visit. So it's been a pretty cool thing, which is totally an option if that's a route that you want to go.
I love that.
And cost-wise, because we're a high-ticket service, meaning, we're charging more than $1,000, that's kind of why this makes more sense for us to be on a generally global platform to be promoting local services, right?
Yes, we talked before about, location-specific services, and the price point is really the big factor because when you look at you are going to want to hire this out, so there is going to be the cost with that. Mm-hmm. And so looking at, if you have a really small offer, then the return on the investment is going to be a lot harder to see. Yeah. But with a higher price point, then it's going to make a lot more sense because the return on that investment is going to be much higher. and it's going to offset the investment for, getting those additional clients, and it's going to make a lot more sense.
Yeah. And the investment isn't huge. So I don't want everyone at home to think that you're gonna have to spend thousands of dollars a month to get your Pinterest up and running. And I know it depends on where you get a VA from, what their rates are, how quickly you want to scale. But is there some sort of ballpark range that you can give us as what to expect if we were to maybe do it ourselves, or have somebody else do it?
Yeah, so if you are looking to kind of take the DIY route, for me and the women that I train, it is, generally between 700 and 1200 for us to kind of come in and get that foundation set, like we talked about, like get everything
Hmm.
straightened out for you. And then depending on how much support you want, there's the training, and then I have a lot of people that are like, okay, like one time going over everything is great, but what if I have questions? Like, what if something comes up? And so, depending on the duration of time that you want some additional support and a little more hand holding, that's
Yep.
kind of a sliding scale. So that's going to be like the one time investment, then you can take it over yourself. For the done for you services, the women that I train that are a little bit newer, you're looking, $300-400 a month. People with more experience are going to, obviously charge more than that.
Yep.
But generally speaking, looking at the prices that I see out there kind of across the board, it's not going to cost you more than like $1,000 a month
Okay.
for, the full management of your Pinterest account.
Right. So for full management, $1,000 a month, and
Yes.
you think, okay, well, 6 months before I would start to see any kind of results. It could go faster. It could take a little bit longer. Just an estimate, But I mean, my average client sale is 4,200. So you book me two clients, and it takes me very little time to make all that money back, and then it's only growth from there. Maybe your average isn't 4,200 yet, and it makes more sense to have a VA do it for you. So $300 to $400 a month. I mean, I spend way more than that in Facebook ads, or that's a sponsored blog post in a mom's magazine like that. That's really not a lot of money for the potential to make thousands of dollars. And it's not like I'm running an ad and as soon as I stop spending the money, my potential to earn goes away. This content is evergreen. It doesn't die. So that $300 you spent in March 2023 could make you money 3 different months this year from those pins that went up.
Exactly.
So cool. It's such a smart investment.
I love the evergreen content. That's what I love with it, because like we said, everything gets buried so quickly. When you turn your Facebook ads off, they're done. Like you're not getting anything else from that. Whereas this is you put a blog post out that does really well, and you can continue to book clients off of it for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're listening to this video thinking, well, I'm not a writer, cool, you can outsource that. And if you're like, I don't have an email list or a website or any of that, you can outsource all of that. Or you can, watch some YouTube videos, learn how to do it yourself, take some courses, things like that. All of this is possible, and it doesn't all have to happen at once. Notice we're not saying you go through in 1 month and create 30,000 pins and you never have to log into Pinterest again. It's baby steps that add up over time,
Hmm.
just
You
like
can get
everything we do.
started with just having the account, even if you don't have a website yet. If you know that that's the direction that you're going, and
Hmm.
you plan for this year to be the year that you get the website and that you grow an email list, then you can go ahead and create the Pinterest account and start kind of pinning the things that you know will be similar to like other people's content. It's kind of like priming the pump. So you can go ahead and get this foundation started to a
Hmm.
degree for at least Pinterest to figure out what you're going to be about. So then when you're ready to take your own content live on Pinterest, you have that foundation set.
Brilliant. So when I go to the wine bar this evening and start just pinning everything boudoir related, that's work. And I'm going to send that receipt off to my CPA for research.
There you go.
Yep. Okay, so with different social platforms, influencer marketing can be a very valuable tool. Since we have the option to repin other people's content, can we do joint ventures for boosted authority and reach? Can we pay people to repin our stuff? Is that world out there?
I am sure that it is. It is not something that I have a whole lot of knowledge on. I
Okay.
have not participated in anything like that. I know that I did have actually my very first client was a food blogger, and they would have like the engagement pods where there would be the Facebook group, and
Mhm.
everyone would go and share others' content, even to the degree of like commenting on their blog posts or all of their things. So that probably still does exist. Um, it's just not something that I have focused on with clients as far as getting things
Okay.
like that going.
Yeah, valid. I'd be curious to see. I mean, if you have somebody who has a ton of followers on Pinterest, if similar audiences, you could leverage something like that. Is there authority on Pinterest accounts like we have on website URLs or high engagement Instagram profiles?
It is so when someone reshares your content and they have a lot of followers, that is typically so we have people that like this one pin did really amazing like 3 years ago and I want to recreate it and I don't know what happened. And basically it's that. It's that someone found their pin, shared it
Yep.
with their, million followers, and it spreads from there. And so that's why like that one pin continues to bring in all of this traffic, and that's
Right.
like their one thing that they're trying to recreate. It's like, well, if you build a relationship with someone, then yes, you can absolutely, work together and do that for each other. But sometimes that's just what happens with it.
Yeah.
So having someone share your content that they do have a lot more followers is something that we strive for. In fact, with accounts that I manage, we use Tailwind as the scheduler for that, and they have a feature that is now called communities, and that's basically the whole idea that if you and I were in a community together, we would share each other's content. And so when you're coming in newer with a brand new baby account with 3 followers, and maybe you have a much better established account, then you are going to receive a lot of that as the new person because people that have better established accounts and a lot of followers are going to share your content because you're working together with that.
Right. Yeah, brilliant. This has got me thinking different ways that I can go find people on Pinterest now and ask them to start pinning my content. Do we even need a Pinterest, like an active Pinterest account to get other people to start pinning our stuff? Or can we make pins for them to then share on their own account? Have you heard of that being done?
Um, I have not heard of that being done. I would definitely say put the content out on your own Pinterest account because you're going to have all that potential of people just searching and finding it and it linking back to you. Um, because what you want is followers aren't huge, but something that I've said is if you have a great following, if you have an email list, get some things out on your account on Pinterest, get some stuff there, and then ask for people that already know you and love you to come follow you on this new platform, and that is going to boost it significantly because
Okay.
they're going to organically engage in and share your content.
Yeah, love it. Again, it's a way to repurpose an asset you already have, which could be your Instagram account, your Facebook group, your email list, anywhere you already have people. They're probably on Pinterest, and so that's brilliant. This episode is also a checklist of things I'm going to do later today, so I'm enjoying this. And followers. You said we don't need a ton of followers for this to be successful. Like what kind of numbers are we talking? Like if we have 10 followers but people are sharing our pins, like is there a correlation to that or are they kind of unrelated?
Uh, I would never say that you don't need to worry about followers at all, but you can get really great results because people are going to find your content even if they're not following you. So, whereas, when I open up Instagram, I'm seeing the people that I follow. If I, scroll through reels, it might be different or you can search. But with Pinterest, when you open up that app, it's not just a feed of people that you follow. When you
Yeah.
when you go in and you're searching with intention, it's going to be pulling in content from even people that you don't follow. So there is an algorithm, there's the smart feed with Pinterest that it's going to serve up more of what you've been searching for and things that are related to that. So that will kind of give you like a custom feed when you first log in. But people are, for the most part, searching, not mindlessly scrolling.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
your potential clients are also in a different headspace because they're not numbing out and scrolling like on social media.
Yeah.
They are using this platform with intention to find what they're looking for. So they're
Okay.
actively seeking out what you have to offer. Um, I feel like I got off on a tangent there with that.
No, that was perfect. Um, yeah, why people use the platform. I think that's great
Mhm.
because with Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, the more followers we have, in theory, the more eyeballs we get on our content, you know, provided it's good content and the people following us actually want to see it. But that's just not the case with Pinterest. It can be, but
Yes, I
people are
mean,
really
if you have more followers, more those people will consistently see your content. But
yeah.
with the search engine piece coming in, you can reach a lot of people without having a lot of followers. And so there's not like that direct correlation.
We've hired someone to take over our Pinterest account. We've got things rolling in. We are sitting here at our computer. The business is kind of running itself, and it gets really lonely as a business owner. Like how have you managed to stay sane building this thing that you're so passionate about that you don't have like a staff around you to have, you know, like coworker lunch meetings and go into the bar after work to complain about customers and stuff like that? How do you navigate that?
It is not easy, admittedly, like not easy at all. I have a Voxer chat group with, a
Hmm.
group of women in business that, I have had to make myself lean on a little more because when I'm not having those conversations, because it's a different world. Like I work from home, I work online. Um, I'm in Southeast Georgia. Not a whole lot of people do that. You're either like you have an out of the home job or you're a stay-at-home mom. And I'm kind of this weird mix of both. And so having other people that understand my frustrations and like the whole language that you speak when you run a business and do things online, like people can look at you with crazy eyes because they literally just don't get it.
Yeah.
So I've had to make myself create that community and use that community that we've created to not feel the loneliness because there's definitely been seasons where I'm not doing my part, I'm not showing up and being a good business friend, and it's hurt me. I'm sure it's not been great for everybody else too, but like when I've pulled back, it's not been good for me.
Yeah. And I like what you said that you had to force yourself to lean into the support system. Like you had it. It was right there waiting for you. And we have to force ourselves to do that. Have you created any kind of routines around that or check-ins or signs that it's time to go look for that kind of community specifically?
Um, I have not been good with that. I will say it started with different intentions as far as it being like networking of making connections with people that can send you referrals and then you kind of start talking with people and you're like wow they're really awesome and we have a lot in common and conversation just is easy so a lot of it started with networking,
Yeah.
the intention to grow your business. And then, we all just kind of started talking one day. We're like, we just need to have this be like our little mastermind group where we can talk about business and vent about things that are hard and, struggles that we have and lean on each other. And it just kind of happened organically for us. For me, I need to build a routine of going into Boxer and talking with everyone more regularly because I know
Yeah.
that's what I need.
Yeah. I mean, they're like simple little check-ins, and we find every excuse not to go do it. I'm grateful that I've met two amazing business owners around me, both of whom I team up with for business purposes. But we will go out for a coffee or cocktail in the evening, and we're always like, "Hey, let's go hang out and catch up." And then we end up talking business for like 4 hours because we just love it, and it doesn't feel like we're at work and it's like, oh, my conversion rates on this campaign were tanking because my CPM was so much higher and I just wasn't seeing the ROAS, and like we're speaking a different language from everybody else in the room, and that feels good. It's like to find your people who get it, and it's like we serve so many people and we enrich so many people's lives, and it still feels really lonely without that circle around you. It's such a conundrum. I've like never felt so fulfilled in my life that I've made such a big impact, and also like there's something equally large missing, and I don't know how to identify that, but I've yet to meet a business owner who didn't also experience that to some degree at some point.
Yeah, it's definitely, it gets very lonely, and making that effort to not be lonely, and recognizing that you're going to be kind of lonely in it, and putting the effort in to find people that can understand the crazy language that we speak. That way you feel understood a little bit when you're talking about things can make a huge difference.
Yeah. So are you in other circles then to explore like different hobbies, different other aspects of your life where you can find that sense of community?
At this point, no. With homeschooling the 8 and 10-year-old, our daughters, and working from home, I have not been good at that. So thank you for that reminder that I need to be my own separate person outside of business and being a mom.
Yeah. You're totally my ideal client, by the way. I mean, I don't have kids and I'm not any better at it, I got into disc golf last year. That has been a huge thing for me because I need to get out of my house. I needed to get outside, doing something physically active, and just being around people where we can share an interest. And I've made some really cool friends that, we meet up on the course and spend an hour or two out there and then go our separate ways. And they're people I probably wouldn't have hung out with or met them in any other situation, but we meet up for like weekly rounds, and it's just great to get out there and have that sort of community. And I don't know, it took a long time of looking for it and trying out different things. And whether it's a gym membership or a networking group, it's a book club, literally anything that allows you to share a common interest with another human, just to make that connection.
Yes, it's definitely something that I need to do.
And it's one of the reasons that I'm launching a mastermind coming up here soon. So I had our first planning meeting with the two friends that I mentioned earlier, and we kind of hashed out everything that's going to go into each of these 6-month groups that we're going to put together. And a lot of it was like, we're already having these conversations where we have like designated venting, human connection time, and then we have like sit down, cool, I need to figure out this one thing in my business. What are you doing to fix that time? And so like we can combine that into a thing and open it up to people from all over the place to get in on that. So I'm really excited to grow the mastermind and get those up and running for the same reason, just so that we can all get together, have these conversations, and feel like someone gets us.
Yes, and people have so much to offer, like the exact problem you're having, someone may have already been through, and there's so much value in that.
Yeah. And the idea of looking from outside of your industry. And I think this is another thing photographers stay away from. I'm sure it's the same in e-com or anywhere else. We look for people who do the same thing as us, which is cool. It can absolutely be helpful, but Jeff Hoffman, he's the founder of Priceline and Expedia, and he's done a bunch of other things. He was a big influence on me because when I met him, he sort of coined the process that I had been trying to figure out, and it's how do you learn business techniques from outside of your industry and apply them to your own situation. It's like with Priceline.com, for example. It's like last minute hotels and plane tickets you can get at a discount because there are grocery stores that will buy food that is approaching expiration date, or maybe it was like seasonal Halloween cookies and it's second week of November. They're still fine, but they have bats and ghosts on them, and grocery stores aren't going to carry them. So these stores buy them at a discount and then sell them for profit. That's what Priceline did. They bought things that were about to expire, hotel rooms and plane tickets that can never be sold again once that plane takes off or once that night passes, and they sold them at a discount. So he took one business model and applied it to a different industry. And like that just blew my mind. I'm like, cool, how can I take things from every other industry and make my own business better? And it, like, just opening up my world like that has allowed me to make so many more friends in different industries that I probably wouldn't have approached any other way.
That's so that I never knew that, but that correlation is exactly there, and that is such good proof that you need to get out of your box.
Right? So I hope you enjoyed part one of my interview with Jena. She is such good people and very knowledgeable about how to use Pinterest for business. In part two, we are going to chat about some of the struggles of being an entrepreneur and how we can deal with those. Because despite the fact that we serve so many people, it can be a really lonely position. We talk about that for a little bit, and then we get right back into the tactical Pinterest stuff, specifically around boudoir photography, and how you can start using it today. So be sure to tune in for part two.